Alhikmat Dawah Services is offering a Ramadan Umrah trip visiting Medina and Makkah on May 11th to May 20th, 2019. Group will be led by Shaikh Shafayat with an approximate cost of $24.95 per person, departing from Miami, Florida, inshallah. If you are interested in this package, please contact Alhikmat Dawah Services at USA Office 954-986-0158 or our Trinidad office 868-325-8276, or you can email us at alhikmat@alhikmat.com.
All praises are due to Allahu Allah. All praises are due to Allahu Allah. Allahu 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 Allah. Allahu.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you would like to dedicate copies of one of these publications as Sadaqah Jariyah, continuous blessings for your parents or dear ones who have passed away, or fi sabilillah, in the path of Allah, please give us a call so we can place your names on these dedicated publications. You can call us at 954-986-0158, or you can also visit us at www.alhikmat.com.
Allah is the creator of different faces. Allah is the creator of all races. Allahu, 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 Allah.
Since 9/11, there has been a great fear of Islam.
We need Muslims, I always say, to speak up in this country.
Much of our Islamic community is perceived to be insular.
Most Americans have never met a Muslim or are not aware of having met a Muslim.
Most people don't have enough education in terms of what the entirety of Islam represents.
It's very easy to hate someone or to put stereotypes on people that you've never interacted with.
But do you think if Muslims were more integrated in society, in America, in the United States of America, then there would have been less anti-Muslim scenario?
I think it's even more important that our clergy speak up. They are, after all, the moral force in our community.
You see, the Islam that is celebrated is one which opens its doors.
Having this type of dialogue in terms of a community outreach, or
Something that Muslims have to do is go out just like you do and inviting non-Muslims to the iftar. And you do a lot of speaking to mixed groups.
We have to change the language from us versus them to a language of we.
I believe that if we can stand together against the forces of hatred and be unified in this country, then we can do wonderful things.
Bringing us together to enhance the beauty of humankind.
I think religion can be such a powerful force for unity.
Of course.
We've made it into this powerful force for disunity.
Keep trying to understand each other and care for each other and keep building a world community, because I believe that's what God wants for us all.
And I'm in their mosques and they're in my temple, and it's been a phenomenal experience. I've had a very warm and welcoming experience from all the brothers and sisters in the community.
That every human being is either your brother in faith or brother in humanity.
In Arabic, the word is lita'arafu, so that you will learn to understand one another.
And this is the truth of what it should be. You see, this is why I am so pleased to come here today, to support the work of Alhikmat.
The kind of intolerance and the violence that we see across the globe is rooted in ignorance, which we can overcome by teaching.
Yes.
Also rooted in fear, which we can overcome by experiencing, where we can actually live in each other's presence. It's rooted in this myopic kind of my way only, rather than this understanding that maybe all of us have more in common, and at the core of who we are is this truly global family that we belong to.
I'd like to say what a joy and pleasure it is to have Shaikh Shafayat as my friend, as my teacher, as my co-worker in the vineyard of Allah, God, where we work together to make this world a better place, to to do God's work, to do the work which we are commanded to do as human beings.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Interfaith Views and Issues on Alhikmat TV 24/7 online. It is indeed an honor, privilege, blessing and pleasure to have with us in Alhikmat studio Reverend Dr. Laurie Cardona. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, it's really a pleasure to have you,
It's a pleasure to be
and
here.
A person like you with all your interfaith experience and background. I'm sure our viewers out there would be very, very much interested in knowing more.
Great.
So Reverend Dr. Laurie Cardona has an MA in counseling, a doctorate in divinity, and she's also an ordained minister in Interfaith. So that will help us better understand Interfaith, why she has been so interested in getting involved in Interfaith, and how she can motivate some of us out there who need to get involved in Interfaith. All right, so tell us a little bit, Dr. Cardona, what motivated you to get involved in Interfaith?
You know, I was very interested in many different religions. And so I called it my journey for truth beyond Catholicism after many years of Catholic studies. And
So
Catholic
originally you've been a Catholic?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, that's how I was raised. I was raised a Catholic. But I wanted to know more.
So
about
what are you
was out
now? Are
there.
you still Catholic or are you interfaith?
I
don't
really-
know, I'm just asking.
I really consider myself an interfaith minister because I don't go to Catholic church all the time, although I do on occasion. I don't go to any particular church all the time, although I call myself a church hopper because I want to understand. I want to always be fed by the passion and the mysticness and the mysticism and the messages of the different religions, and it feeds me spiritually. So when I was on this quest, for instance, I would learn about Islam, and I would say, oh, I want to go to Mecca, that's so beautiful. And then I would learn about Buddhism, and I would say, oh, that's so, I just felt like all of it had so much passion in the different religions.
yes.
And I was interested in so many, and they just all felt right, but not 100% right
So
for
at
me.
what age were you getting these kind of thoughts?
Oh, in my 20s, my 30s. And it wasn't until my 40s that I found out that there was actually an interfaith seminary that existed. At the time, it was the only one in the world. And I heard that if people were people like me, who didn't seem to fit in a particular box, but we were interested in mysticism and spiritual work and being of sacred service in the world and integrating the different religions and the different cultures, that there was a way to actually live that path, to learn about the different religions and then to learn how to be of service by integrating those different religions and paying homage to them, by being respectful of them and being able to integrate people who have needs, who come from different culture and different religions, and understanding. For instance, as a hospice worker, I was able to know enough about different cultures that I could go in and work with the patients based on their religion and based on their culture.
But that's very interesting because it shows that you have always had that desire and that want to understand other people, other cultures,
Yes.
other faith,
Yes.
and to a point get it inculcated into you.
Yes, and those are the types of students who come to us at our seminary. Sacred Journey Interfaith Seminary exists here in South Florida, very similar to the seminary that I graduated from and was ordained by, because we want to give people the same opportunity. And there's a lot of people who are, fall into that spiritual but not religious category where they're not quite sure what religion is right for them, but the spiritual path still calls to them. To be of service still calls
So
to
that
them.
new seminary in New York where you
Yes.
studied, that's where you were ordained.
Yes.
So what did they teach there?
Well, the first year is similar to our first year. It's comparative studies of different religions. But what we do is not just teaching you like Islam 101, we actually bring people in to teach rituals. We do inner reflective type studies also.
The different kind of rituals that exist in different religions.
The prayers, the music, the rituals, the people.
So the students can better understand what really exists.
Yes.
Because that's one thing. And then
Yes.
you have another, the theology of that religion.
Right.
The theory.
Right. Well, we have a four-prong approach. We call it wisdom, ritual, reflection, and energy. So they learn the theology. We call that sort of the wisdom study. Then they learn the prayers and the rituals. they learn different type of energy work, that the energy that might be existent in the rituals and in the prayers. And then they do their self-reflection, where they come to a house of worship. You know, our students have come to you to sit and listen to you speak, to watch the service unfold, and then they reflect on how that was for them.
Okay, so that makes you a kind of person that can fit into any society anywhere in the world.
Well, I would like for our students to feel as though they've learned a little bit of enough of different cultures and different religions that they go anywhere in the world and have a sense of knowledge and compassion and understanding. So they couldn't come here and run a service. They couldn't go to a synagogue and run a service because they're not a rabbi, they're not an imam. But they are interfaith ministers, so maybe they can start their own services, or maybe they can be guests in other services. But mostly they provide services, weddings, blessings, baby blessings, sometimes spiritual direction or their own private practices.
So we're going to get a little more in details on that, but tell me a little bit of your counseling background. You got an MA in counseling.
Yes. That's true. I had a
what kind of counseling you do?
It was called human development and learning. So basically what I was doing was what you might call talk therapy, couples counseling, that sort of thing. But I've evolved from there into more just spiritual direction. But from an academic...
So where did you do that counseling?
Before I became an interfaith minister. So in my professional life before ministry, I worked in human services and I worked with special populations, but I also had a private practice where I was providing talk therapy, typical talk therapy, you know, just helping people sort out issues and helping them to get their lives on track based on what their understanding of themselves was.
That's very interesting. I mean, it's so very deep to want to be involved and to help people, and you know, I think it takes a lot of passion and a lot of caring to have that kind of personality.
Well, thank you. It's, you know, I think it's something that evolved from childhood, because I used to help my mom. She was a volunteer, and I used to go and help her when I was 10 years old. So I was understanding that there were people out there who had special needs as a child. You know, and then as I got older, I got into working with special populations, working with people with mental illness, mental retardation, AIDS, and then finally my last tenure was in hospice, doing hospice work.
Good. So where did you grow up in the United States of America?
New Jersey. I was born in New York City, but I grew up in New Jersey. And the funny thing is, I love telling this story, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, let's see it.
I was born at St. Luke's Hospital, which is in the Upper West Side of New York, and there's a special section called the Women's Hospital where the babies are born. I was ordained at St. John the Divine on the Upper West Side. St. John the Divine is a beautiful Gothic cathedral. And 1 year after my ordination, I went to visit St. John the Divine, and I came out a different set of stairways, and when I looked out the door, across the street was St. Luke's Hospital.
Wow.
So I was born on one side of the street and ordained on the other side of the street.
That is
Isn't that amazing?
Amazing. It's a great blessing.
Yes,
superb,
truly
superb.
A blessing.
So that brought you into this whole interfaith world. It started from birth.
Yeah, I guess so.
I was about to say young age, but from birth, you see.
Yes, and it was always
God has his way of guiding people.
Yes, absolutely. And I was always in a multicultural environment. I was raised, my father's Puerto Rican, my mother's Mexican, but we were raised in an Anglo neighborhood, so we were always sort of the oddity, you know. So I was always interested in different cultures and why were we different? You know, why were we different from them? And then in Catholic school, why were we different from the kids who didn't go to Catholic school? So my interest in different religions and different cultures started at a very young age, and then in the helping profession by the time I was 10.
So, but have you had in your growing up stage in New York, New Jersey, in the Carolinas, any sort of exposure and experience with Muslims and Islam?
No, actually no. And that's why we're so happy to have you here and to come to our seminary, and because many of our students haven't had exposure either, other than what they hear. And a lot of it is negative, as you know. And so
that's a sad thing. I try to tell a lot of Muslims that there are a lot of negative things on the media.
Yes.
But whether that may be the present situation, Muslims need to come out, be known, be seen, get involved, and especially through Interfaith.
Yes.
So other people may know a little more.
Right.
They don't know. Look at you, an Interfaith person. You probably read, study about Muslims and
Yes.
Islam from a seminary and Interfaith
More
theology.
of an
academic point of view. But from a real and realistic point of view, not really, yeah?
That's why our seminary is determined to bring people in and to give our students the full exposure. So it's not just what they hear or what we tell them, but that they can, for instance, come to your mosque. And that's why we bring them every year. We want to make sure they get the full experience and the full understanding, and bring you or people from your mosque in to talk to them, so they see, feel, understand, get the experience, and open their hearts and open their minds.
Yeah, the exposure, not that they
Yes.
will be in a closed shop or think that this religion is a
Exactly.
closed shop. That's interesting. So tell us a little bit about, the Darsan Center,
For spiritual evolution, that's the
LMC,
Yes.
SGIS.
Right.
What are the differences with these different organizations that you are involved with?
Okay, I'm the founder and director of LMC Interfaith Ministries. That's an independent interfaith community.
And it's called
LMC, it stands for Love, Miracles, and Community.
Wow.
Yeah, and we provide a weekly
That's
service.
a love and miracle.
Yeah, yeah. We provide a weekly service on Thursday evenings based on the Course in Miracles. And we do some peace initiatives, and we do some other things that are not regularly scheduled. Now, that's one ministry. That's me.
LMC.
That's LMC. Then, as you know, Dr. Grace Telesco, you've met her many times. She's the founder of the Darshan Center for Spiritual Evolution.
The Darshan Center.
Yes, and they have a completely separate set of activities. Now, she as the founder of that ministry, and me as the founder of LMC, we came together to develop a third entity, which is Sacred Journey Interfaith Seminary. So together as the founders, we direct that seminary.
Okay, that's
So
the difference.
Two entities that came together to create this educational component.
And what does the Darshan Center do?
She has weekly services on Sunday evenings where they do an interfaith service. She also does kirtan monthly, which is call and response music. And during the day, they have Reverend Chris Drum does group and individual counseling.
So what caused you all to come up with this idea of a Sacred Journey Interfaith Seminary?
That's a great question.
What was the
because
reason?
it was like,
because you already got Darshan Center, you got Love, Miracles, Community.
Right.
What caused this?
So Reverend Grace and myself knew each other just sort of peripherally through hospice work many, many years ago. Also Reverend Chris. The three of us were doing hospice work, and we sort of would meet in passing. And then years went by, and I realized that Dr. Grace went to the same seminary I did. Thanks to Facebook, I had this information.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I called her up one day and I said, "What are you doing?" It turns out we're both very interested in education as educators,
Yeah.
but we're also very interested in ministry as ministers. So we thought, oh, how can we combine our love for education and our love for ministry? And we had this idea, and at the time we thought we were just being so outrageous and having the idea of having our own seminary. And we thought it was so outrageous that we started calling other seminaries to see, could we be satellite programs? And they kept saying, you could do it on your own. We were
Okay.
like, can we really? And we would have meetings once a week, and she found a rock one day, and we would to this day, years later, when we get together, we pray on that rock. We each put a finger on that rock, and we pray on that rock. We say, on this rock, we will build our seminary.
Interesting.
And we built back in this was
You're
back
getting
in,
right back into a Prophet Jacob kind of
there
story.
you go, exactly.
Yes, yes.
And it was back in 2013, and we had this dream, and we said, let's do it on our own. So it came under LMC as our educational component. LMC Interfaith Ministries is the ordaining body, and we said, let's just try to do it ourselves. And for 9 months, imagine 9 months, enough time to make a baby, we spent time developing curriculum, developing these 4 aspects of wisdom studies, wisdom, ritual, energy and reflection, developing curriculum, developing the ideas of can we really make it happen. Next thing you know, people were interested. We each have our own newsletter mailing list. We had 10 students when it was time to go. When it was time to launch, we had 10 students.
Wow.
And to this day, we still exist, a very viable, and we have every January we start a new set of classes.
So these classes run for how long? 1 year? It's
2 years.
It's a
2
two-year
years.
course.
The first year is your wisdom studies, and they have to go out and they do house of worship visits. They go to different houses of worship. They have to do a lot of reflection. They have to come once a month to learn the energy, the wisdom, the theology. They have to learn rituals. And then they get initiated. They have their first year. After their first year of studies, they get initiated into ministry. Then they come back their second year, and they learn all ministerial services. We learn them we teach them how to do ceremonies, sacred ceremonies, how to give a talk, how to lead a meditation, how to bless a baby, how to do a marriage, how to do a wedding ceremony. We teach them all of that.
Okay, so that's really interesting. You know, we have been speaking for more than 15 minutes already.
Yes.
So I think we got to go on a short break.
Okay.
When we come back, I would like our audience to have a better idea of some of the students that come for these interfaith classes. Who are some of these students? What motivates them to be interfaith reverence?
Okay.
Because we want our audience there also to learn the importance of interfaith. And I wanted to share with our viewers what are some of the benefits of being involved in interfaith, how it benefits us, the community, the world at large, because you know we're in a time that the world is getting smaller through internet, communications, etc.
Right.
And similarly, getting to know more people, people getting to know us without us understanding them.
Yeah.
If I want to put it in that, what I meant, you see people, you meet people of different religions, different cultures, different faiths. But if we don't know more about them and understand them and their faiths, it can make life very miserable.
Right, because then you're stuck in your stereotypes.
Yeah. So, you know, I would like to share a little bit, seeing that you got this in your background, the importance of getting involved in interfaith, some of the kind of students that come to learn interfaith when we get back after the short break.
Great.
All right, beautiful.
Yes.
So again, we've been talking to Dr. Reverend Laurie Cardona, interfaith expert, director of our own LMC Loving Miracles community, and the SJIS Sacred Journey Interfaith Seminary, etc. An ordained minister. So when we come back, we'll talk a little more in details about the seminary and what kind of students come by to study, and how the world can benefit, and how they benefit, and how we all can benefit. Thank you very much.
Alhikmat has been serving the Muslim and non-Muslim communities for the past 30 years through the publishing and distribution of Islamic literature and radio, and also TV programs, plus interfaith activities. Due to the demand and many requests of non-Muslims and new Muslims for Islamic literature, we request you to donate generously $1 fi sabilillah in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala towards distribution of the Holy Quran, Alhikmat TV 24/7 online, Dawah publications, Surah and Zikr books, genealogy of the prophets, feeding and clothing the poor, orphans, and the needy, students seeking to study Islam, printing of Islamic publications, our monthly Muslim magazine, One God, Same Religion Dawah brochures, Quranic Arabic reader with Tajweed for students. And also to support our Dawah activities, you can also contact Al-Hikmat offices at 954-986-0158, at 954-986-0158, or you can also visit our website at www.alhikmat.com. That is www.alhikmat.com. You can also make checks payable to Alhikmat Services Incorporated, or you can donate with a credit card on PayPal at www.alhikmat.com. Alhikmat TV presents a great way to spread the Sunnah. Have a Sunnah attitude. In the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in chapter 33 verse 21, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, لَقَدْ كَانَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةً حَسَنًا, that ye indeed in the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a beautiful pattern of conduct. Join us for our 100,000 t-shirt drive. For more details or to place an order, contact Al-Hikmat Services at 1-800-804-0267, or you can visit us on our website at www.alhikmattv.com. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
All praises are due to Allahu Allah. All praises are due to Allahu Allah. Allahu, 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 Allah. Allahu.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you would like to dedicate copies of one of these publications as Sadaqah Jariyah, continuous blessings for your parents or dear ones who have passed away, or fi sabilillah, in the path of Allah, please give us a call so we can place your names on these dedicated publications. You can call us at 954-986-0158, or you can also visit us at www.alhikmat.com.
Allah is the creator of different faces. Allah is the creator of all races. Allahu, 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 Allah.
Salam alayka, ya Habib.
Bounty Kings, Bounty Castles presents brand new luxury castles for all events. You can contact us at telephone number 749-4342, or you can also email us at bountykings1@gmail.com. A-Class Glamour presents to you wholesaling and retailing of premium lines of cosmetics for all skin types, designer jewelry, and many accessories. Brands include ColourPop, Maybelline, Revlon Professional, Urban Decay, Sephora, and many more. To get a hold of these products, you can call Sadiq Khan at 345-5824 or Amira Khan at 759-6089. You can also visit our Facebook page at A-Class Glamour to follow for newly released lines of products.
Welcome back to Interfaith Views and Issues on Alhikmat TV. Once more, we have with us in Alhikmat studio Dr. Reverend Laurie Cardona.
Yes.
And welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
You know, we had a wonderful conversation on your interfaith and community services and experience. And as we promised our viewers, we want to talk a little bit about this SJIS,
Yes.
Sacred Journey Interfaith Seminary. What kind of students you attract. And then we also want to let our viewers know why in today's time it's important. You know, even if someone does not go to an interfaith seminary or someone does not go to interfaith programs,
Right.
why is it still important for them to have an interfaith mind, an interfaith understanding? Because, you know, we live in a community. We're surrounded, whether we're traveling in a bus, if we're traveling in an aircraft, in a train, or we're driving by ourselves in a motor car. In the other motor cars next to us, there are people of different faiths.
Right.
So there's no way we can get rid of this. So we have to better understand the kind of people we meet and we run into. It's important that people understand this. So before we get into that, what are some of the kind of students that are attracted to doing interfaith, and what do you think motivates them?
Well, what they have told us and what we see was the same thing that motivated me and Dr. Grace when we started, was wanting to have that expanded mind and that expanded heart toward other religions and other cultures. And so a lot of them felt, this is what they tell us, and I believe it was true of me also, a lot of them felt like they did a lot of exploration of their interest, but they didn't quite fit in to something 100%. Like they felt like there was more to it than what one religion was teaching. Now that's not true of all.
They felt that something was always missing.
Something was missing,
Okay.
yeah. And so they found that interfaith was for them because then they could do more integrated studies and expand their base of knowledge, which is, I think, what the world needs, like you were referring to earlier. Like we all need to expand our base of knowledge. But in terms of being of sacred service and being an ordained minister, these are people who really wanted to understand themselves, to know for themselves how they reacted to different things and different people. But it's not true of all of them, because I mentioned to you earlier before we were on camera that we had a student who was an ordained Swami. She didn't want to give up Hinduism, but she wanted to understand
So
more.
where was she from?
She was American,
Are you
but
kidding?
she was married to a Hindu, an Indian. traveled to India, and became a Swami.
So she became a Swami.
Yes, and she has her own temple, actually, right here in South Florida.
Wow.
And so she wanted...
So she's an American white.
Yes, she's white American. Yes.
Studied Hinduism.
Yes.
Is a Swami.
She became a Swami. She went through everything she needed to go through.
And got her own temple now.
She has a temple. But at the same time, she didn't want to feel constricted by the studies of her life and her dedication and her passion also. She still wanted to expand her mind, and she was one of the ones who were most blown away. Every month she'd be like, wow, you know, like the amount of information that she had not received in all her years of studies, and she loved it. She loved it. And she still wears her orange, you know, she's still out there as a Swami, but she wanted the interfaith perspective. We also had a woman who was...
because here you are in one faith, and you run into someone in the airport, and the person is an Orthodox Jew.
Yeah.
And you have no clue about what this person is doing, how they're praying. You meet another Jew in America, he has a different style. You run into a Muslim here, he has a different style. You meet a Muslim from Arabia or India or Pakistan, they got a different style.
Yes.
So you're totally confused until you understand the cultures and the rituals and the faith of those people.
Right, because it's not just the faith, it's also the culture. Because like you said, a Catholic in South America might look very different from a Catholic in Ireland, you know, in terms
in
of...
Rome.
Yes, exactly, in terms of how they speak, how they worship.
How to dress.
Yes, so it's such a great opportunity for our students to see all those cultural and religious differences. And I'm glad you brought that up, because it's not just the religion, it's also multicultural. And so we had a student who recently went to a synagogue for a Jewish Sabbath experience, and she didn't understand a lot of the languaging, she didn't understand all the rituals, but she was so glad she had already had the class, because it gave her some insight as to what she would expect. So in addition to the class, they go out into the world and they have these house of worship experiences. So they're really having these firsthand experiences of what it's like to sing and to pray and to worship with people of other cultures and other religions.
Interesting. So from a professional and academic point of view, do you have people of different academic backgrounds who also come and are interested in getting involved in interfaith?
Yeah, in our first set of students, we had a guy who had a PhD. You know, we have people with master's levels, PhD levels.
In what field?
He was his PhD was in literature.
Okay.
But he always had an interest in religion. He was in his 80s. I mean, he's in his mid 80s now.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm sure you met him in one of because he's been at the the same ordination ceremonies that you've been to. But it's all age ranges, all educational backgrounds, different races, ethnicities. It's people who have like a hunger and a passion for spirituality. And they're finding it through different religions, but they're also wanting to be of service.
Now that you tell me that this person is in his 80s, that brings to my mind that there are many more people in the world who are probably craving for this kind of thing, but they don't know if it exists.
Right.
They don't even know where it exists.
Or where to start.
Yeah.
Because there aren't that many interfaith seminaries in the world.
No, not at all.
In fact,
not at all.
When I went to seminary, it was the only one in the world. It was the first and only one. And then they had a second one.
In New York?
Yeah, yeah. But it was the only one in the world. And then there was a second one that started in England. And now I think we're up to about 11 in this country.
Yes, yes.
So, and we're the only one in South Florida. So there are people who fly in to see us. So our first set of students, we had a woman, there was a seminary 30 miles from her house, but she flew to South Florida because she loved our curriculum. And our second set of students, we had a woman who flew in from the Bahamas every month. And now we have a guy, this is our third set of students, who flies in from Colorado every month because our curriculum is so unique and so interesting. And we call it boots on the ground because you have to be there to have the experience. Because, you know, it's one thing listening on TV or on the radio. It's another thing to really be there and have the hands-on experience.
And, you know, that makes people wiser.
I think so.
Really. That's why your first year of classes is on wisdom, huh?
Yes, wisdom teachings, but they also have
teachings.
They have to learn the prayers, the rituals. They have to have an energetic experience by
Because
going to the houses of
when
worship.
a person understands someone's culture, their faith, their lifestyle,
yes,
whether you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, or an accountant, then you will know how to modulate, how to
Yes.
communicate with somebody else.
Yes.
I mean, let's take a husband and wife. If one spouse does not understand the other person's career and academic background, you know, just one being a lawyer and one being a doctor,
Right.
they won't be able to communicate. They'll be
Right.
communicating on different levels.
Yeah, they'll
You know, the
miss
lawyer
the
will
mark.
always be looking to sue the wife.
Yeah.
And the wife might always be trying to tell him that you got some sickness. You need some medication.
Right. It's talking at each other, and that's what we do.
Without
even-
understanding each
Yes.
person's background.
Yes, and that's, you know, I do believe that it expands hearts and minds.
Of course.
And that with that expansion of the hearts and mind, you can't really have ignorance and racism and all that stuff gets chipped away.
Definitely.
When you start to open your mind and to truly understand and connect with people of different cultures
You know, in
and
the
religions.
Quran, and I always use this reference when I speak to people on interfaith, in the Quran in chapter 49, verse 13, God tells us that, you know, He has created males and females and humankind, different races, different languages. In another chapter, in chapter 30, verse 22, different languages, different colors,
Right.
combined with this chapter 49, verse 13, different nations, different tribes. You
Right.
see, everything put together,
And-
tribes, nation, languages, cultures, so that we would know one another. We are encouraged to
Yes.
try to understand one another,
Yes.
better understand, because if we don't make that effort, we'll be in total misery and confusion.
And there's a lot of that happening right now.
Of course.
You know, like you were saying, in the next car, if the person doesn't look like you look away. And that's
Yeah, and
why we
you-
want to teach people exactly what you're saying. God didn't make any mistakes in making people of different cultures, different religions,
Definitely.
different.
And you know, in this verse, God says, but however, the one who is more God-fearing, meaning God-fearing, not in the meaning of fearing God, that's the kind of little misunderstanding people have, but the one who is more best in piety. So let me use the right word, the one who is best in piety, who is more God-conscious, who is more towards righteousness, you know, that person will be the best, as opposed to the one who is racial based on his color, his language, his nationality, or her, whatever it may be. It's all about righteousness. It's all about being good. You know what I'm saying?
Being, and, you know, the night before my ordination, I was so scared. I was ready to hop on a train and leave. And a bunch of us asked the dean, well, what do we do after this? Like, what happens next? And she said, just testify to love. Who you are in the world may be the only Bible anyone ever reads. So it's how we present our being, who we are in the world. And if we're peaceful, if we're kind, if we're compassionate, if we can shift our consciousness in a chaotic moment and not feed the consciousness but present an alternative way of seeing things, that's when the peace and the understanding and the unity starts to come together.
Yeah, because we are all human beings. We are from one nationality, humankind. And if we cannot understand our brothers and sisters of humanity, of their different faiths and cultures and rituals, then where are we going? You know, it's a very selfish world.
That's why we need to, you know, those of us who are doing the work have to just keep holding the high watch.
I know.
You know, and just keep moving forward. And you know, you're a great example for your community and for us as well. You know, because you're allowing our students to come here and get exposure to something that they may not have had if you didn't exist in South Florida.
And you know, and I'm on the verge of growing this more and stronger and bigger. And you know, Dr. Laurie, that's one of the reasons why you have so much of misunderstanding about Islam in the world.
Yes.
Because, well, first of all, I blame myself and Muslims for not making others better understand Islamic teachings, Quran, you know, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the different cultures exist in the world. Because you may meet a Muslim from Arabia, his lifestyle, his dress code is totally different to a Muslim from Africa,
right,
to a Muslim in Pakistan. So that confuses a non-Muslim.
Right.
So if the Muslims themselves do not make the effort for the others to understand, plus others need to also make the effort to understand others out there. But if everyone make the effort for people to understand them and they understand others, we really live in a happier world. You know?
Yeah, and I think it's especially needed now with so
With
much
all the
prejudice
hate
and
in
yeah.
politics and the world at large and ego and money
Yes.
and power.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
needed
really,
more than ever.
It is really, really sad. So what would you like to share to our viewers or worldwide viewers on why is it so important in nowadays time for people to try to understand others of different faiths and cultures?
You know, we can get really stuck in a mindset, and I think now it's easier to get angry. It's easier to turn away. That's the easy way. If we want to stretch, if we want to truly live up to our spiritual majesty and our spiritual capacity, then we have to learn to change our minds and to soften our minds and to soften our hearts. And so, you know, what I would say is just be open to the idea that peace can be possible, that love can be possible, that compassion is possible in any given circumstance, in every given situation. If we can lower our hatred, our ideals, our prejudices, our racism, and some of us have to step up and we have to work harder toward that. And every day, make a daily intention. Set your intention every day, and to perhaps be of service, you know, to go to a place where you're continuously encouraged to be compassionate toward others, regardless if they look like you or speak like you or follow your religion, that we just continually making that a priority.
You know, once upon a time in America, besides New York, which is, you know, the Big Apple, and you got all these different cultures. You go down one street and you see so many Chinese, and you think you're in a Chinese world. In one area you see Jews, you think you're in a Jewish world. One area you see probably Indians. Well, New York is an exception in the United States of America, and maybe in the entire world.
No.
But there were other states, in Georgia, all the way west into Virginia. You know, there are some people there who have never seen another person
different than them.
Different than them.
Exactly.
Is that true?
That's true. That's true.
So you know what kind of confusion these people will have if they get out into another state or city where they meet other people. When they sit in an aircraft, they sit in a train, they're all so confined in their minds.
To see something other than what they are
exposed
told,
to.
Yeah, which is pretty limited. There's a lot of prejudicial type remarks that we hear, you know, especially in politics, and so we need to know that really is not true. We're not limited by one way of thinking. We have to expand our thinking and our consciousness.
And that's why this is so important nowadays. So once upon a time it was like that. Now it's still like that in some little very close area, but with internet, with the media, you know, CNN, Fox News, all these different television stations worldwide, you see so many different things, and you got the exposure of different faiths and different cultures.
Right.
But unfortunately, a lot of times media only propagate things when it's bad times, when something bad is happening. So these people who lived in these states or towns by themselves and have never seen someone other than themselves, they're going to be in total hate and chaos.
They have to have something within them that motivates them to want to learn more, you know, because like you said, the internet, you can learn about all kinds of religions. There's shows that expose people to different things, but you have to want it.
You have to want it. It's there, but you have to seek it.
And that's why I'm glad there's so many seekers in South Florida. I mean, there are so many people, because we do have a very diverse population in South Florida.
Listen, Miami, South Florida is a little New York.
Yeah, it is.
Actually, Miami is very competitive with other states, Broward County especially, South Florida, with other states in the United States of America from our multicultural standpoint, multi-language, multi-faith. Miami is very diverse. And I mean, even though New York has a lot of different cultures, what I like about Miami, and I don't know you from New York, you tell me otherwise and tell our viewers, what I've seen in Miami, in South Florida, let's be real, I find that South Florida people of different cultures and faiths are of a better melting pot than in New York. There are areas that is still segregated. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe because it's not as big and spread out as New York. I don't know. But New York seems to be more hustle and bustle. You know, like maybe people don't have time to spend that much time together. I don't know. I've been gone for a long time, but I think that people find their own segregated areas in big cities. You know, that's why you have Little Italy, Little Chinatown. You know, like this segregated.
Well, they
areas.
did that because of that little small-mindedness. But remember, Florida and Miami is much more recently developed in comparison to New York. So the people who come down here from different countries and different states, they already got sort of semi-exposed to different faiths and culture. So they didn't see the need to make in a little China and a little,
maybe so.
You see the point? So we are advanced.
I think
mean, we got to give credit to South Florida. We are advanced. So a guy doesn't need to go and live in little China or little India or little Italy. It doesn't matter here.
There's all kind of markets everywhere. I mean, I just love that
everything is so multi. And I think it is wonderful, and that's a good sign. So South Florida is an interesting place because of the fact that a lot of people come from New York, from Canada, from other states because of the cold, and come down in this melting pot in South Florida. And religion and culture is not really a problem.
And the Interfaith Seminary is here.
Yeah.
Sacred Journey, Interfaith Seminary.
Maybe that's the whole reason.
That's it.
and it helps people, they already cross certain borders by not wanting to have to live in a little Spanish town.
Right.
Chinatown, Indian town. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very diverse.
So they just look for a nice neighborhood, a nice area, a safe place. Every time I hear people come to South Florida, that's one of the things they look for.
Right.
A safe, nice neighborhood.
Good school for the kids.
So I think we are already 75% ahead of the game of other states in the United States of America and many countries. What do you think? Because you're an interfaith person. I'm telling you my experience that I've seen. I think we are 75% ahead of the game. So now it's only to get the people's mind and their hearts to know more of other people.
That's why I like your idea, we spoke earlier, of having an interfaith group, people from all different religions, all different cultures, who come here to meet, to talk about what their leadership is providing in their communities.
Yes, I think that's the way we got to go.
This is the place to do it, South Florida, right here.
Yes,
with you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
My pleasure.
And I thank God very much for giving me and for guiding me towards that way of my upbringing and exposure with people of different cultures and different languages, coming from the West, the total West, the little Trinidad in the Caribbean, going abroad to India to study, seeing the Far East and, being in the Middle East, in the Deep West here in America, that sort of cultural interfaith exposure has really enriched my heart, my mind, that really guided me by God's mercy to want to accommodate and better understand people of other faiths, because that's what I run into in you're going to hotels, you're going to the aircraft, in trains, wherever, that's what you see.
Yes. Yeah.
And if we don't, not only it's a misery for you in your mind and your heart, but you feel so confined. And you can live happy and you can make other people happier.
Well, I think you're a great example, and you really are, for one. I'm just so really glad. I know we go way back with the Interfaith Council. I'm just really glad you're here and for all the good works you're doing in our community.
So thank you very much. We got to conclude the show. Okay. We have been talking for more than 20 minutes in the second session. So what do you have to say in a couple of seconds before we conclude?
I'm very glad you're here. I'm glad we're here and that we work together and that the seminary is open to you and to your students as well.
Thank you very much. So we have been talking to Reverend Dr. Laurie Cardona. She is an ordained minister and the co-founder of SJIS, Sacred Journey Interfaith Seminary. She has an MA in counseling and a doctorate in divinity, with a lot of experience, passion, love for interfaith, for people of different faiths and different cultures. And that's the kind of people we love talking to, because I think viewers out there need to understand this. Rather than being in your own little closed mind and closed shop, it's good to hear from people with her experience and the importance of interfaith, multicultural, etc. So stay tuned 24/7, Alhikmat TV. It's been nice being with you. Thank you very much, and has been a blessing and pleasure to have with us in the studio Dr. Reverend Laurie Cardona. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you very much.
Since 9/11, there has been a great fear of Islam.
We need Muslims, I always say, to speak up in this country.
Much of our Islamic community is perceived to be insular.
Most Americans have never met a Muslim or are not aware of having met a Muslim.
Most people don't have enough education in terms of what the entirety of Islam represents.
It's very easy to hate someone or to put stereotypes on people that you've never interacted with.
But do you think if Muslims were more integrated in society, in America, in the United States of America, then there would have been less anti-Muslim scenario?
I think it's even more important that our clergy speak up. They are, after all, the moral force in our community.
You see, the Islam that is celebrated is one which opens its doors.
Having this type of dialogue in terms of a community outreach or
something that Muslims have to do is go out just like you do and inviting non-Muslims to the iftar. That and you do a lot of speaking to mixed groups.
We have to change the language from us versus them to a language of we.
I believe that if we can stand together against the forces of hatred and be unified in this country, then we can do wonderful things.
Bringing us together to enhance the beauty of humankind.
I think religion can be such a powerful force for unity.
Of course.
We've made it into this powerful force for disunity.
Keep trying to understand each other and care for each other and keep building a world community, because I believe that that's what God wants for us all.
And I'm in their mosques and they're in my temple, and it's been a phenomenal experience. I've had a very warm and welcoming experience from all the brothers and sisters in the community.
That every human being is either your brother in faith or brother in humanity.
In Arabic, the word is lita'arafu, so that you will learn to understand one another.
And this is the truth of what it should be. You see, this is why I am so pleased to come here today, to support the work of Alhikmat.
The kind of intolerance and the violence that we see across the globe is rooted in ignorance, which we can overcome by teaching.
Yes.
Also rooted in fear, which we can overcome by experiencing, where we can actually live in each other's presence. You know, it's rooted in this myopic kind of my way only, rather than this understanding that maybe all of us have more in common, and at the core of who we are is this truly global family that we belong to.
I'd like to say what a joy and pleasure it is to have Shaikh Shafayat as my friend, as my teacher, as my co-worker in the vineyard of Allah, God, where we work together to make this world a better place, to do God's work, to do the work which we are commanded to do as human beings.
Alhikmat has been serving the Muslim and non-Muslim communities for the past 30 years through the publishing and distribution of Islamic literature and radio, and also TV programs plus interfaith activities. Due to the demand and many requests of non-Muslims and new Muslims for Islamic literature, we request you to donate generously $1 fi sabilillah in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala towards distribution of the Holy Quran, Alhikmat TV 24/7 online, Dawah publications, Surah and Zikr books, genealogy of the prophets, feeding and clothing the poor, orphans, and the needy, students seeking to study Islam, printing of Islamic publications, our monthly Muslim magazine, One God, Same Religion Dawah brochures, Quranic Arabic reader with Tajweed for students, and also to support our Dawah activities, you can also contact Al-Hikmat offices at 954-986-0158, at 954-986-0158, or you can also visit our website at www.alhikmat.com. That is www.alhikmat.com. You can also make checks payable to Alhikmat Services Incorporated, or you can donate with a credit card on PayPal at www.alhikmat.com. Alhikmat TV presents a great way to spread the Sunnah.
Have a sunnah attitude. In the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in chapter 33 verse 21, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, لَقَدْ كَانَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةً حَسَنًا, that ye indeed in the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a beautiful pattern of conduct. Join us for our 100,000 t-shirt drive. For more details or to place an order, contact Alhikmat services at 1-800-804-0267, or you can visit us on our website at www.alhikmattv.com. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
All praises are due to Allahu Allah. All praises are due to Allahu Allah. Allahu 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 Allah. Allahu.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you would like to dedicate copies of one of these publications as Sadaqah Jariyah, continuous blessings for your parents or dear ones who have passed away, or fi sabilillah in the path of Allah, please give us a call so we can place your names on these dedicated publications. You can call us at 954-986-0158, or you can also visit us at www.alhikmat.com.
Allah is the creator of different faces. Allah is the creator of all races. Allahu, 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 Allah.
Salam alayka, ya Habib.
Bouncy Kings, Bouncy Castles presents brand new luxury castles for all events. You can contact us at telephone number 749-4342, or you can also email us at bouncykings1@gmail.com. A-Class Glamour presents to you wholesaling and retailing of premium lines of cosmetics for all skin types, designer jewelry, and many accessories. Brands include ColourPop, Maybelline, Revlon Professional, Urban Decay, Sephora, and many more. To get a hold of these products, you can call Sadiq Khan at 345-5824 or Amira Khan at 759-6089. You can also visit our Facebook page at A-Class Glamour to follow for newly released lines of products. Alhikmat Dawah Services is offering a Ramadan Umrah trip visiting Medina and Mecca on May 11th to May 20th, 2019. Group will be led by Shaikh Shafayat with an approximate cost of $24.95 per person, departing from Miami, Florida, inshallah. If you are interested in this package, please contact Alhikmat Dawah Services at USA Office 954-986-0158 or our Trinidad office 868-325-8276, or you can email us at alhikmat@alhikmat.com.
Truly he is the one, he has no father or son.